Hello, 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 and good afternoon. Welcome to SOS. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and I am saving our sex lives one bedroom at a time. Excited to be here with you today. Super, super excited to be here with you today, talking about the ADHD sex life. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't know if any of you watching have ADHD or if your partner has ADHD, but whether they do or don't, whether you do or don't, this is still, I think, a conversation that will be beneficial because at the end of the day, really what we're talking about is the ability to stay focused and stay present in the moment when we are engaging in sexual encounters with our spouses, right? So we want to make sure that we're always giving our undivided attention. And so, whether you have ADHD or not, doesn't matter. There's still information that will be shared today that I believe will be beneficial to you and your partner and will help you in your sex life because that's what we're here for anyway, right? So, when you think about ADHD and sex, it literally can be described in these extremes, right? It's either all the time or never. And it's, again, very, very extreme, opposite ends of the totem pole, right? Where it could be all the time or not at all. Many, many times, when you do have ADHD or you are involved in a relationship with someone who has ADHD, oftentimes it truly can lead one to think things that aren't necessarily true. And so we're going to talk about some of those things today as well. So there's a common myth out there, and I know you've heard it, that sex is fueled by this animal instinct or animal instincts, and that men need no stimulation to actively engage in it. But that is definitely a myth, right? Our more basic brain functions that actually control arousal, like fear, pleasure, aggression, and our sense of smell, literally are managed by our executive functions. And so, if ADHD is actually a factor in your life, then those executive functions may work extremely erratically in any setting, including the bedroom. So, what might this look like, you say? You say, I have this for you. So, it could look like spacing out during lovemaking. It can look like spacing out during lovemaking. It can also look like rushing through to the end, rushing through to the end. And that one's not fun, right? Or spacing out during lovemaking, not fun either, because you a lot of times can feel that break in the connection when someone is not fully present in the moment. And then rushing to the end literally can make your spouse feel as if you were a very selfish lover and you are only focused on your own needs, wants, desires, and not focus on what it is that they want. But I understand the why behind the what, right? It's let's hurry up and let's get to the end before I drift off, before I space out, before I lose focus. But again, that can leave your spouse feeling unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and unloved, unappreciated, and unheard as well. So this one can definitely create issues for sure. Suddenly thinking about other things like a movie or the grocery shopping that has to be done or the checkbook that needs to be balanced or whatever it is, right? The calendar, what it is that you have to do for work the next day or what needs to be done before you go to bed at night, whatever it is, but just suddenly thinking about other things. What about never getting around to sex at all? Remember, I told you it could be extremes where it's all the time or hardly at all. And so that can, ADHD can lead to a sexless marriage. After the other partner grows tired of always initiating, they may just tap out, they may just give up. Now, I know that this is about having ADHD, but at the same time, there are similar layers in our marital relationships, right? You don't have to have ADHD to space out. You don't have to have ADHD to rush through to the end before you lose focus. You don't have to have ADHD to suddenly think about other things, nor do you have to have ADHD to just not get around to having sex at all. This happens, and marital relationships where there is no diagnoses at all, and specifically one with ADHD. So again, applicable and appropriate, I think, to marriage in general, because everyone can get here. So now, for a person who actually does have ADHD, though, there are some nicknames that come with these issues that I'm talking about here. These erratic executive functions, and they are the Energizer Bunny, the do me bunny. Like, I'll never initiate, but definitely do me. The indifferent bunny, like, can we get this over with type of thing. So, a lot of times, people with ADHD, they will joke about it. They use a lot of humor, but typically, the one who does not have the ADHD, who is not feeling fulfilled on the other end, typically doesn't find it funny. They typically don't. So, what can be harmful? What can be harmful advice is when someone says, "Hey, ladies, you know your man is visual and you need to do everything you possibly can to keep his attention, like lingerie, maybe a lap dance, or else his eyes will roam somewhere else." Well, listen, here's the thing, it is not our responsibility to control our men's eyes. It's his responsibility to control his eyes. He has control of them. We can't control our men's eyes, just like they can't control our eyes, and we can't control each other at all. I am saying yes to the lingerie. Okay. I'm saying absolutely yes to that. But what's the motive and the intent behind that? We're doing lingerie because we're trying to prevent his eyes from wandering. That's the issue, right? That's not where we're doing it. We're doing the lingerie because it makes us feel good. It makes us feel sexy. We know that he likes it. We are giving him eye candy, but it's not coming from a place of, I'm doing this out of fear that you're going to go somewhere else, that you're going to cheat, that you'll be looking somewhere else. The lap dance. Yes, I'm here for the lap dance, but again, are you doing the lap dance because you're trying to seduce your husband? You're trying to flirt with your husband. You're trying to make him feel good. And it makes you feel sexy and it makes you feel good to be in control and be comfortable with your body in that way. That's amazing. Yes, do it. But don't do the lap dance out of fear that he's going to go to the strip club and get it someplace else. He has to govern his own behavior, he has to be in control of his behavior. So that's the worst advice to give your good girlfriend, that your man is visual, and so you better do all you can to keep his attention, otherwise he will do XYZ. Because if he has ADHD, again, it's erratic executive function. He can't control a lot of his behaviors without the proper tools and strategies. Okay, so to tell the woman that literally makes her feel as if it's her fault why he's showing up the way he is, why he's exhibiting the behaviors that he's exhibiting, and it's not her fault. Another horrible piece of advice is, yeah, ladies, even when you really don't want to, remember that guys need a lot of sex. So if you're thinking about balancing a checkbook while he's kissing your neck, because we know, as women, we all have wandering minds, remember that he needs you to be available whenever he's in the mood. Okay, so here's the challenge. I do agree that we should be available. We should be available when our spouse wants sex. But guess what? They should be available to us too when we want sex. If it's always one sided, that can truly lead to bitterness, resentment, and anger toward your spouse. So we want to make sure that there's balance there. We're talking about balancing this checkbook. No, we need to be balancing the bed book. Okay. Are you available when I am in the mood? And am I available when you're in the mood? It should be mutual. It's a give and take, right? And there are times where we do have to sacrifice and we have to take one for the team because maybe we're not in the mood, but that shouldn't be all the time where we're constantly saying no, because then you leave your spouse feeling rejected. And then that can lead to some other issues, right? So we do want to be available, but it should be mutually exclusive, right? We both should be showing up for each other, and we both should be available when the other person is in the mood. Okay. And again, we're not doing this because we're afraid that if we say no, our spouse is going to seek sex elsewhere. They have to control what they do with their penis and what they do with their vagina. We don't have control over that. All right. So, another horrible piece of advice, it's the man's job to be the initiator and your job to be receptive and warm. No. This has caused so many challenges in marital relationships because somehow we have been conditioned and programmed to believe that it is the man's job to initiate. And that is not true. Ladies, we need to be initiating as well. Because guess what? They get tired of initiating all the time. And if you're the woman who is doing all the initiating, I'm sure you're tired as well. And you don't want to have to initiate all the time either. So if we step outside of ourselves, put ourselves in the other person's shoes, look at it from their perspective. If you're the one that's always initiating, think about how that makes you feel. So you won't want to put that on your spouse, right? So we want to make sure that again, it's give and take, tug of war. Sometimes I initiate, sometimes you initiate. Sometimes I'm doing the lap dance, sometimes you gonna give me one too, if that's what you're into. But whatever it is, we want to make sure that we're showing up for each other. Now, we'll say this too. There are many excuse me, religiously oriented people who will turn to a pastor or other spiritual advisor for their marital problems or their sexual problems. I'm not mad at that. Okay. I don't have any issue with that. But if ADHD isn't recognized by the spiritual community, then the cure can often be worse than the disease. Let me say that again. Sometimes the cure can be often worse than the disease. A lot of times we don't want to accept mental health as a real thing in some of our religious communities, but it is a real thing. It's been scientifically proven that is a real thing. And so there is why there's treatment for it. That's why there's medication for it. Now, I'm all here for God being able to do miraculous things and heal, but I also believe that God created people who were able to come up with tools and strategies and things to help us with our deficiencies, right? In the areas where we have areas of opportunity where we're coming up short, where maybe we're not able to focus or whatever the case may be, people are here to help us with that. Medication was created and developed from God through people to help. So that's my belief. You believe what you believe. But at the end of the day, if this person truly does have ADHD, they will need support and they will need assistance. Now, here's where the harm comes in is when shame happens, when we get these ignorant, uninformed teachings brought into an ADHD marriage, especially a sexless ADHD marriage. And again, like I said, whether you have ADHD or not, a lot of this is still being told to us by various sources. And so I want to dispel those myths and get you thinking things from a different perspective. All right. So some of the things that are said that have these harmful consequences is, oh my God, I'm just not visually appealing enough. I'm not visually appealing enough. So my spouse can't focus, or they're rushing to the end, or they're not having sex with me at all because I'm not visually appealing enough. Now, sometimes there is a loss of attraction in a marriage, but if it is someone who does truly have ADHD, it's just because their brain is all over the place. And it may not have anything to do with you and how appealing you are or are not. Another harmful consequence, thinking, wait, I have to initiate sex all the time because my spouse doesn't. Does that mean that I'm stepping out of my role as a woman if I initiate? Because again, if you're thinking that it is the man's job to initiate all the time and he's not initiating, so then that responsibility falls on you. You questioning, are you stepping out of your role as a woman? Well, I say no. And I think it's important to have that conversation and that dialogue with your spouse. Because if they want you to initiate, then that's something that I believe that you should do your best to try to do. And if they're okay with you not initiating, then that's fine. But I haven't met a man on this earth planet yet who does not want his wife to initiate. So if you're married to one, be thankful. Be thankful because I don't know very many that don't want their wives to initiate. Um, oh, here's another one. Hey, I really like sex. Why is this guy saying I shouldn't? Is something wrong with me? Right? If you really, really like sex, but your partner has ADHD and they're not engaging in sexual activity, and then now you thinking something's wrong with you because you still have that urge and that desire. No, it's a natural thing for us to crave and desire intimacy, connection, and sex. So nothing is wrong with you if you really like sex at all. And guess what? Some people have different levels. Some people have different numbers. And I mean, most couples who get together, they do have different numbers. What numbers am I talking about? The frequency of sex. How many days can we go without having sex? Like, I need to have sex X amount of days. These are the conversations that you need to have. Listen, I'm only going to be able to go a day or two without sex. If that's you, then you need to communicate that to your spouse. Well, I'm good. If we can go one time a week, I'm good with that. But that's the conversation, because we do have desire discrepancy. We do have different libido levels. And so you do need to discuss that with your spouse. Last thing, if my husband's not initiating, is something wrong with him? Well, again, people don't initiate for various reasons, and a lot of times it's mental, right? Especially with ladies. Like, um we're taught that ladies don't do certain things, and that's one of them, many times. And so sometimes they don't initiate because of that. But for men not initiating, again, it could be ADHD, it could be that he's tired of initiating, it could be that he's been rejected and he's just like, I'm done because I don't want to hear no one more time. But again, these are the conversations that we have to talk about. These are the conversations that we have to have. I want to go to the comments right quick, and I want to say thank you so much for being here, Augusta. Thank you. And Pop It, hello, hello. Those of you who are watching, let me know where you're streaming from so I can shout you out. But I love that Augusta says, I'm so glad I'm in a religious community that believes in having Jesus and a therapist. Amen, sis. Amen. Exactly. And so am I. And so am I. I love that as well. But there are many out there who do not. And it makes it very challenging. And people truly are harming themselves, and they're getting hurt. Like, this mental health thing is real. We can't take it lightly. So yes, like I said, I'm all for believing in God and trusting in your healing. At the same time, I know that this medicine and these therapists, they were put here for a reason, and there's nothing wrong with tapping into all of the resources that are available to us, um, to ensure that we are the best version of ourselves. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to continue this conversation about ADHD, the ADHD sex life. And again, I told you, whether you have ADHD or not, whether your spouse has ADHD or not, doesn't matter, because the things that we're talking about impact marriages as a whole. So do not go anywhere. Do not swipe left or right. We will be right back. You're watching SOS.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. You are watching SOS. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and so excited to be having this conversation with you about the ADHD sex life. And as I said, whether you have ADHD or not, whether your spouse or your partner has ADHD or not, doesn't matter, because a lot of these things where we get distracted when we're trying to engage in some form of sexual intimacy with our partners, it can happen. It can totally happen. So again, I think it will be beneficial to you no matter what. What's up, Damien? Hello, hello, Kimberly. How are you, sis? Damien Lyons, I love this comment. You said it's so good to have a platform where the real is spoken so that we can have the tools to know better and do better. Love this. Well, I love that you love it, okay? And I'm always trying to keep it real with you guys, like for sure. I don't think I know any other way to be. So you're always going to get the real deal when you come here. And when you're dealing with Couples Academy, that is what it is. So now, I want to give you all some tips, some tools, some strategies. Like, what can we do, LaKeesha? How can we stay focused? How can we make sure that we are staying present in the moment and we're being our best selves when we're engaging in any form of sexual activity with our spouses? I'm so glad you asked. And here you go. I'm going to give you about 6 or 7 things that you can do to help you stay present, stay focused, and be in the moment, ADHD or not. Okay. First and foremost, you must be open with your partner. You must be open with your partner. And what that means is you have to tell them about what's going on with you. Hey, when we're intimate, I'm getting distracted. And if you have been diagnosed with ADHD, you got to let them know that, right? And let them know what that looks like, because it could be trouble focusing, could be irritability. And what you want to do is make sure you reassure them that it's not their fault. If it's ADHD, that's the issue. That's the culprit, right? But if you don't have ADHD and this is happening, then you do need to get to the root of what's causing that distraction. Are you stressed out? Are you overwhelmed? Are you on like a really tough project at work? Are the kids driving you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Whatever it is, you must be open with your partner and let them know what's going on, okay? And reassure them it's not their fault. Now, on the flip side, if it is their fault, then that's a conversation. And you need to let them know that, you chewing gum while we having sex, it's distracting and I can't focus. Whatever it is, right? Just using that as an example. You need to communicate that and let them know, or have that real conversation so that they can course correct if that's what's needed. All right. The next thing you can do, say what feels good for you. If you don't like being touched all the time, tell your partner when and how to touch you. And the reason why you want to do that is to prevent miscommunication and to avoid arguments, unnecessary arguments. So say what feels good for you. And those of you who are a little bashful, a little shy, you don't necessarily want to put a voice to it. Guess what? Take that hand and put it where you want it to be. Sometimes you need to take over. Sometimes you need to be in charge and you need to set the pace and you need to determine the position, whatever it is. But you have to say what feels good for you and be honest. If you don't like being touched all the time, tell them. If you're not being touched enough, tell them. If they're not touching you the right way, tell them. Show them. And if they didn't get it the first time, be patient with them because they're learning. They're learning. So you do need to communicate what feels good to you. What's up, Hubert from Florida? I'm in Florida. Where you at? Where you at, Hubert? What part of Florida? Let me know. I need to know. I love when my Floridians show up and represent. I love all y'all. Everybody's important and you matter. But I'm a Florida girl. So I love when my Florida people show up. All right. The next thing, get rid of distractions. Get rid of distractions because if you are one who easily loses focus during sex, then having sex in the dark may help you focus on the moment, right? So maybe you need to be having sex in the dark, or maybe it needs to be dimly lit. Some people will say that they like music playing because the music will help them to focus. There's also all types of essential oils that you can use that are specific for focus. And so maybe you need to have you some essential oils going in the room. Maybe you need to have the lights off or dimly lit. Maybe it's music, whatever it is, but will help you focus. And if you feel yourself drifting, then switch it up, switch positions, do something different, change your location if you can. But whatever it is, switch it up so that you can stay present in the moment and get rid of any distractions. Like, don't have the TV on. Obviously, that will be a distraction for mostly anyone, but you want to remove any and every distraction you possibly can. There's something else that I did a show, and it was about the aesthetics in the room, and it may have been about the erotic blueprint, because some people are very visual, right? And they need different sensations, right? And the sensual. And so they need all of their senses stimulated. And so visually, the room needs to be inviting and warm and welcoming. Now, I'm not saying you got to create a sex dungeon. I'm here for that too. But if that's not your jam, that's all right. But you just adding a couple different textures in the room, you being a minimalist and taking things out. If you have small children and you got toys all over the place, that's a distraction. If you have your office set up in your bedroom, if you can get it up out of there, it's a distraction, because the minute you see that laptop, you see that desk, you're going to be thinking about that work stuff that you have to do. So try to keep the computer out of the bedroom if at all possible. And, you know, the sex experts, me included, are like, if you can get that TV out the bedroom, that's even better. So you know that when you're going in that bedroom, it's a place of relaxation, rest, rejuvenation, but also connection. Okay? All types of connection: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. Yes. All right. So you also want to make sure that you focus on the intimacy and not sex. Focus on the intimacy and not sex. So trouble with focus literally can make it harder for you to get aroused or to reach orgasm. So you want to spend more time on kissing, foreplay, and just other acts besides intercourse, because that truly can ease the pressure and help you and your partner to enjoy yourselves and just enjoy the experience, enjoy the moment. And the focus is not on sex, it's on intimacy and connection. Intimacy and connection. All right. So try to focus on that intimacy. The next thing you want to do is to stay active. Stay active. What am I talking about? Regular exercise. That can help you focus. It can raise levels of feel good brain chemicals like dopamine. And it also can help you to enjoy intimacy more and make you more or less likely to engage in any type of risky sexual behavior. So you want to make sure you're staying active. These bodies were made to move. So you want to make sure that you're moving them as much as possible, as much as possible. All right. And then, if you truly have been diagnosed with ADHD, you want to make sure that you're taking your medication as prescribed. That's so important that you're taking it as prescribed. Don't just take it when you're feeling distracted. Don't just take it when you're feeling off or whatever. You take it so that you don't get off, right? So that you can stay balanced and even killed as much as possible. And then, if you do take medication, you want to couple that with therapy always. Any type of mental health disorder, ADHD, um, like any type of mental health disorder that a person has been diagnosed with, you should be taking your medication if it is prescribed. And you always want to couple that with therapy, because the therapy is going to give you the coping skills, the coping strategies, and the coping mechanisms that you need to be able to stay balanced and focused. So you want to make sure that you take your meds, and you also are having therapy coupled with that. All right. So, again, how we can all get affected in our sex lives when we're having difficulty focusing is just having trouble paying attention. You know, your mood or desire might change suddenly. You might feel angry or lonely, and it may make you less interested in sex. You may be drawn to risky sexual behaviors, and at times when it is extreme and not managed, it can cause folks to have different sex partners, and that's the last thing you want to do, is to step out and be unfaithful because we don't have this focus, this ADHD thing under control. But I do want to say there's hope for you. There's hope for all of us, because the more in tune you are with your partner, the more connected you will be, the more you will enjoy your sex and intimacy. So I hope this was helpful for you all. Thank you so much. Port St. Lucie. I know exactly where that is, Hubert. I know exactly where that is. But listen, I want you all to know that Couples Academy is having a gala. That gala is coming up October the 7th, and you all need to have your face in the place. Let me tell you something. This gala is going to be amazing. It is going to be a night where you get to dress up. It is a historical celebration of love and commitment, and you need to secure your spot today. I am dropping the link here, and you all need to make sure again that you tell your friends and your family, you tell everybody that you know, because you need to have your face in the place at the gala. I'm going to be there. I'll be there. You might even have a seat at my table. Let me know that, hey, I'm coming to the gala because LaKeesha invited me, and I will leave a seat at my table just for you. So you need to be there. You need to have your face in the place. Please show up for the gala. It's going to be amazing. Just a night to dress up and celebrate love and marriage and relationship, and to have a hot date night with your boo. Okay. So you can't get no better than this. Good music, live entertainment. All of the Couples Academy family will be in the house, and I want you to be in the house too. So I dropped the link. Make sure you click on that, and you can also go to the website and you can find out more information, couplesacademy.org. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. I'll be here same time, same place next week. And again, I want to see you at the gala. Go ahead and get your tickets today. You all have a good one. Be blessed. See you next week. Bye.